Okay, so OBS dropped or whatever. Anyways, hopefully that doesn't happen again. Anyways, we're back here. I don't like that song. Anyways, okay. So sorry, I'm still figuring this out. There we go. Okay, so since last time I streamed this game, I've done quite a bit because it's kind of something a game I kind of play regularly now, just because it's so easy to jump on. So I'll go through the changes, the stuff that I've done since, and then we'll go through. We'll just keep going, simming through the rest of the season. So let's start with, where do we want to start? We'll go with, let's look at the roster. Actually, no, let's go, I think it's Trade Center. You look at transactions. So we've passed the trade deadline, so you can kind of see some of the moves that other teams have made. For some reason, Edmonton trades away Jesse Puljujarvi to Toronto and a first-round pick for Rittich and Greenway, which, like, I'm sure Greenway is an okay prospect, but Rittich isn't a super good goalie, and a first-round pick and Puljujarvi for those, like, that's a garbage trade. So Edmonton continues to suck when it comes to doing stuff like that. Like, that's realistic, I guess. Buffalo got Taylor Radish, who's a decent power forward prospect out of Tampa Bay, for just some garbage, basically. We were able, so Seelofs, the coaches and the scouts don't really see a future with Seelofs, which I think is a little inaccurate to real life, because Seelofs obviously was a late pick. We go to information, I think. He was drafted by the Canucks in the 6th round in 2019, so he's only what? He's only 19 still. He will be 20. He's 20 in the current year that we're in. And obviously, like, he's not super great yet, but he has the potential in real life to become a starting goaltender. Maybe not an elite starting goaltender, but something. And in the game, they have him just not even making it. Barely. I had to send him down to. I sent him down. Well, I thought I sent him down. Maybe I didn't. I was going to send him down to the ECHL because he wasn't doing well. If you can look at his stats here. I don't know why my mouse on the screen there is so off. That's weird. I don't know why that's happening. Maybe I have to move this up. Maybe it's because of where I have it on my screen. It's kind of weird. I think that's close. That's pretty close, I think. Okay. So let's... no, it's not. It's all the way to the... The mouse is still all the way to the right for some reason. I don't know why that is. That's odd. Oh, there we go. I don't know why it's weird. Oh, no, it's still down though. What is... So that's close. That's okay. That's closer. So I'm just gonna have to. I'll figure that out next time, but I just have to have it because this game isn't a full screen game, so I just have it capturing the just where it is, and so I guess the mouse doesn't go exactly where it's supposed to go on there. So I have it in the top left of my screen right now. Which whatever, not a big deal. So sorry, what was I saying here? So his numbers in the AHL weren't even that good. 3 wins, 6 losses. And I mean, you look at his numbers since we traded him; they're not that great either. His average rating isn't too bad at 7, but if your potential is to if you want the player or think the player should be able to make it into the NHL, they should be dominating pretty soon. And dominating would be an 8 or almost an 8 in average rating at least. So he's not quite there yet. He's still struggling in the minor leagues. So we just traded him, got some picks for him. Build to pick some of my own players in the coming draft that maybe will have better potential. But in real life, I wouldn't trade Seeloffs. I'd keep him for sure. We traded Gabriel Carlson to get another backup goalie because Georgiev. So I don't know if you guys saw that we have Georgiev, but we got Georgiev, the goalie in New York. We got him on waivers. I don't know why the Rangers put him on waivers, because he's got good potential, and for whatever reason the coaches don't like him, or at least they didn't like him when I first acquired him. They thought that he was not even gonna be good enough for the team, but he had a pretty good start, and he was outplaying Demko actually, so he was playing a lot, and then he kind of fell off, and so because it looks like we're gonna make the playoffs, and I'll show you that in a second. I'd wanted to get another backup goalie just in case. And Gabriel Carlson wasn't really doing much for us. He's playing in go to history. For us, he's playing under 7 as his average rating, which is isn't great if you're like going to be playing a lot of minutes as a defenseman. We sent him in the AHL a little bit, and he was playing worse, an average of 6. So we just ended up trading him. His trade value was a 3 dots out of 5 or whatever. So just traded him and got a pick in return as well. A 3rd, which I thought was pretty good, because I tried to offer Carlson to a different team, and they didn't take this exact trade for a similar goalie and a 3rd rounder. So I was happy to get that out of New Jersey. Let's see. This one's interesting because Florida put Marcus Nativara on waivers, so Dallas could have had him for free, and they ended up paying a 3rd for him. This one was interesting. Jimmy Vesey, we traded away. He was playing in the AHL. He was actually playing decent, and he was probably good enough to be a call-up at the very least for us. He had 5 points in 9 games, but we got too deep in the forwards, and he was one of the odd man out. So I sent him to the minors. He didn't get claimed on waivers, so he just played in the minors for a bit in Utica and was having a decent season. And then Tampa Bay just offered the trade for 2 picks, and I was like, yeah, I'll take it. Like, he's not playing for us in the NHL, and in the situation we're in as the Canucks, having as many picks as possible, even just for future trades, is useful. More useful than having a player that can decline. That trade, whatever. That's a whatever trade. Is that all the trades that happened? Oh, there's more. Okay. Nothing crazy. Petrovic for Sammy Blais, which Sammy Blais was a player I was targeting. I didn't end up getting him, but not a big deal. He would have been a depth guy anyways. We traded for... Oh, excuse me. Oh. We traded for Miles Wood. We got Jalen Chatfield and Mitch Elliott out. And we also got a 5th round pick in return. Miles Wood hasn't done super well for us, but he's been an average rating of 7. But his points-wise for us, he's only got 8 points in 33 games. Only 52 shots in 33 games, so just barely over a shot a game. Shooting percentage is low though, so he could bounce back either the second half of the season or I guess not the second half because we're almost at March, but the end of the season and in the playoffs if we make the playoffs. But he's definitely been important because he's been playing up and down in the lineup when we have injuries. So and he's still 25, so he still could get a little bit better than he is, and he's cheap for only 2.75. He has the potential to score 20 goals in the season. He's done it. So, and look at all the green too. He's got the physical abilities, most of the technical abilities, and almost all of the mental. So he's definitely a solid player to have, whether he's in the bottom 6 or top 6 at the very least. I think the last time I streamed this game, I was still trying to do a Sam Reinhart or a Sam Reinhart parallel type player. We never ended up doing it because I was in a situation where I was giving up all my first round picks for the next 2-3 seasons, all my second round picks, plus like some. I was going by it based on the dots that they do for how much the team's interested in a player. So I was offering players with like 2-3 dots and like 4 or 5 of those kind of players, and I think I ended up offering a 4 dot player as well, and they were still saying no. So I was like, well, I'm just not going to waste my time on this anymore. And so I moved to getting a player like Miles Wood. And then I believe we go back a little bit. We did a trade for Riley Nash because I was trying to get rid of Travis Boyd and Ashton Sautner while also getting a draft pick. And I got a 2022 draft pick. So, and Riley Nash, I believe his contract expires. He's playing in the AHL anyways. He's a decent player in the AHL, points-wise at least. Not great with his overall rating though. But I was basically taking on salary, so they would take these guys and get that 3rd. And then Riley Nash, he can play in the NHL. He's got 16 rating for faceoff, so at the very least he could be a 4th or 3rd line center that does the penalty kill if we have an injury or something. No, she is not here. How's it going, Blue? We go back again. Oh yeah, these are trades that we already saw from before. Although I don't know if you saw the... I'm sexy. I don't know about that. But I appreciate it. So I traded Bowie. I got a 2nd for him somehow out of Colorado. And Brogan Rafferty was playing in the AHL. I got an NHL depth defenseman because we needed depth. I've got him in Utica at the moment because I picked up other players on waivers. And then we got Pavel Zacha, who's our 3rd line center and can possibly become a top 6 forward at some point. He's putting up some points, and the average rating is good at 707. How are you doing, Blue Devils? Where was I here? Go back. Yeah, we already did all that stuff. That's as far, and then we'll just go to the roster. So we still have Georgiev and we have Wedgwood here too, but because I don't want to put any of them on waivers. Beiruthe, however you say his name. We picked him up on waivers. 26-year-old. He's been playing pretty decent. I had him in the minors, and then at the end of each month, I'll try to go through all the players and get a. You can go here and get a coach report on players, and all the coaches were saying you should call him up, based on how he was playing in the AHL. So I called him up. He's still not quite a top 4 guy, but he filled in for some injuries and he's stayed up here. We ended up sending, I think, Slater Cuckoo down. Nobody claimed him on waivers, so we're good there. And Georgiev, the coaches said that he's now a useful player, and I mean his record indicates that he is a useful player. His goals against aren't great, save percentage isn't great, but his average rating and his record itself is good. So the problem might just be our defense not supporting our goalies, because you look at Demko, who's our number 1, his goals against and save percent isn't great either, but his average rating is good and his record is good. So that could be either a strategy difference that we need, or our defense aren't playing well enough. We got Thomas Hickey off waivers, who's a solid depth guy. He's been playing decent for us. Not really a points guy, but his rating is good. Plus minus is okay. Who else did we get on waivers? We got Tobias Reeder. Tobias Reeder, he's 28-year-old defense German forward. We had playing in the AHL, and he was lighting it up. And the coaches were also saying, like, you should call him up. He'll be a fixture in your top 9 or whatever. So he's been playing good ever since we called him up. We go to Brandon Sutter. So Brandon Sutter, look at all these teams that are interested in him. I offered him to the whole league, just like put feelers out for him, and nobody wanted him. I assume it's because of his 4.375 salary, but I mean, if somebody wanted him, I would trade him and take on another salary. His contract ends at the end of the season anyway, so he'd be a good playoff veteran to have. Will Lockwood, rookie. He was playing in the AHL and playing really good, point per game. And the coaches said to call him up, so we did. 8 points, basically half a point per game in the NHL, just barely under 7 average rating. So he's kind of a depth guy that we kind of throw in for certain games, which is good for his development, I think, because he is putting up points, which is good. And then if we go to unavailable, we've got Strawman, who we got off waivers as well. I guess Florida needed to make space, so they had to put him on waivers, but he's been one of our top defensemen. He's injured currently, but looks 7.59 rating, putting up some decent points in only 39 games. He's been solid. And then we've got, if we go to all contracted players and available, let's see. Michaelis has also been up and down in the AHL and the NHL. He's dominating over a point per game in the AHL, 780 average rating. And then, so the coaches were saying to call him up, and I actually did it 2 separate times because he was playing so well. And we go to his history in Vancouver, not so great with the 4 points in 16 games and 606 average rating. So he is on the older side. He is Where did he go? Michaelis, there we go. He is 25. He's gonna be 26 in this after the season ends. So this could be is what he is, kind of guy, like a depth forward or like next man up type call up player, but nothing more maybe. But we'll see if he develops at all over the summer. I know in NHL, in EA NHL 21, the players kind of stopped developing after 26, 27. So if that's accurate to this game, then he might have a year or two left of development time. So I mean, if he doesn't turn out, at least he'll be a good player to have in the minors, because he's definitely a top player in the minors. He actually made it to the All-Star game too in the AHL. Aidan Mcdonough, I started him in the NHL, but he wasn't getting a lot of ice time. The coach wasn't putting him in a position to succeed playing in the NHL, and they did say that we should call him up, but I've left him down here in the AHL. 30 points in 54 games. That's a good rookie season. Just under a 7 average rating, so that tells me that he's maybe lucky. Look at his shooting percentage, 14.8. That's pretty high. It's not pretty high, but it's a little above average of what you would expect from players that get points. He does have a lot of shots though. 100 like exactly 2 shots a game, which is pretty good. But it is his rookie season, so definitely want him to have confidence. If you look at his technical, he needs to work on all of it, but his mental and physical are right there. So it's if he can improve in this area over the summer, he could probably be a bottom 6 guy next season for the NHL, for the Canucks. So we'll see. But I almost traded him a few times, but now I'm happy that I didn't, because I think he has good potential to be a good, maybe third line scoring player, or even possibly a top 6 guy, kind of like Petrie before he was treated like crap. Jack Rathbone, I wanted to start him in the NHL because he is good enough in my opinion, but he wasn't playing too well. And the coach didn't really want to play him. He only played 3 games with 7 average rating, which was good. But the coach only played him 3 games, even though I had him in the roster. The coach refused to play him, so I just sent him down. He's having a good season in the AHL. So he should be NHL ready after this season, for next season, basically. So, and I think that's it for the players. Obviously, DiPietro, he's not having a great season when it comes to his record, but I think that's just the team in general, because he's having a good season overall, a personal good season. And let's see, what else did I want to show you? Go to personnel. So we still have Ralph Kruger, Travis Green. I don't know if you saw me with Guy Boucher, but Rod Brind'Amour was fired by Carolina for whatever reason. And so I was like, I jumped on it because we had who did we have? We had Jason King, who his abilities weren't great. So I was like, well, Rod Brind'Amour, let's take a crack at it, see if he wants to be an assistant coach. And so he accepted our offer. He's making $170K per year, which is cheap. I don't know why he accepted it. But I signed him for 5 years. So I don't know. And then we basically have 3 head coaches who are very capable of developing forwards and defensemen. Guy Boucher as well. I've only got him for this year, so he might not re-sign. So it's good that I have Rod Brindamore signed for 5 years. And then I signed Eric Wellwood, just kind of as a young coach to kind of learn as like the bottom assistant coach underneath all these guys. And then other than that, I kept everything else the same. I might end up not keeping Ralph Kruger. We'll see. We'll see if he wants to re-sign, even because his contract ends at the end of the year. So we'll see how that goes. I think that's it for that. You can go to the report and look at the depth chart, basically. Ralph Kruger is the one who puts the depth chart together and kind of ranks all the players. So you can kind of see, like, they have Russell, Michaelis, and Eriksson ahead of Reeder, but when I've had them in the lineup, they play like garbage. So Michaelis was okay. Eriksson and Russell just take a bunch of penalties and have their plus minus are really bad. And Tobias Reeder's having a good season. Johan Larsen, I think we just claimed him off waivers. He turned out to be a bad claim with his 1.4 mil salary until after next season, so 2022. So he's just buried in the minors. I think that's that. Will Lockwood is ahead of all these guys, which is nice to see. Like, Podkolzin's going to be great after this season. He might even get to play in the playoffs. We'll see. But he's playing really well in his junior league right now. Or no, he's playing in the... I think he's playing in the KHL. He might be playing in the AHL version of the KHL. But he's playing really well. Almost a point per game. So he is basically ready to be in the NHL after this year. You can see the team needs. Let's see. We don't need a goalie anymore, as far as I can tell. We still need a right wing. Lockwood and Bailey aren't really long-term solutions. And a left wing if Tanner Peterson is going to continue to not have a good season. Let's see what the coach says. I did fill out the depth defense, so we have good depth on defense. I did get a right winger, or I didn't get a right winger, I got a winger. I got Miles Wood. And Pavel Zacha can jump up on the left wing, and we just put like Sutter and Tyler Mott at third and fourth line center. Like, we have a lot of versatility in our lineup, which is good. Guys that can take faceoffs or play the wing. All the way up to the top with obviously like Pettersson and JT Miller. Obviously, like, the first line left wing and the solid right wing are going to be difficult, but we'll have to look at that for either the free agency or just within. Like, hopefully Hoglander develops a little more. He's having a decent season, 30 points, half a point a game. That's pretty good for a rookie season. And his average rating is good. Taking a lot of penalties, but that's okay. And like, Peterson is rated the top left winger on the team, which isn't that good. I was hoping he would be a little higher than 30 points in 63 games. His average rating is good, so maybe he's just not getting lucky. And obviously the team had a really slow start to the season. And I'll show you the standings in a second here. Go to NHL. So we're in a playoff spot currently. We were all the way down here when I streamed last, but also for the first, so we're in February now. We were down here until probably December. And then I made some of those trades, moved some players around down to the minors, called other players up, and claimed people off waivers and stuff like that. So basically, like, just went in the cheap bin and improved the team that way, because I want to keep everything as cheap as possible, just so that in free agency we can spend how we want, and also with re-signing players. But now we just climbed our way back up, and now we're up to 7th. We went on a bit of a winning streak, and now we're kind of in a win-loss kind of pattern, but we're still playing good. We're beating the good teams and beating the bad teams and losing to some of the good teams, but definitely improved, and we've got a bit of a lead on St. Louis now. So if we lose a couple, it's not a big deal, but we can catch up to Edmonton and Nashville for sure. Maybe even Anaheim. I don't know about the top 3 though. We'll see. If we go to, what was I gonna look at for a second here? Go back to Trade Center view. Let's see. Oh, my phone just went off. Okay, sorry about that. I just want to... Okay, so what I wanted to show you is I extended Pettersson and Hughes for very cheap contracts, but I'm not sure why. I'm not sure how to see that. Oh, here, maybe? No? All of 2021. I can't look into 2020, I guess? Oh, here we go, 2020. Transfers, maybe? We go to... So we signed Aidan Mcdonough. I guess it won't show up on here until it becomes official, because you can't officially re-sign. The player doesn't become officially re-signed until the 1st of July, I believe. Yeah, this is all guys that I signed in free agency earlier. Okay, whatever. So yeah, I did re-sign or extend Pettersson and let's go here. Oops. Roster. So if we go here, if we go to contract, we signed Pettersson for contract. There we go. So he only asked for 4.65 for whatever reason. I think he asked for 5 years, and I extended it. Or maybe it is only 5 years. Yeah, it's only 5 years. I thought I asked for 6, but I guess just 5. Gave him a signing extension just to make sure he signed it. Or, sorry, a signing bonus. But like that's a low cap hit for Elias Pettersson. We go back to Quinn Hughes. We've got him signed for 4 years. Go to contract. We signed him for 4.75. So like similar situation. I gave him a decent bonus. Look at that cap hit though. Like for your best forward and best defenseman, you're paying like super low. And they're having good seasons too. Besser and Hughes were the ones that made it to the All-Star game. Pettersson should have, I think, as well. If you look at his season, almost a point per game. So and shooting percentage is 18. That's nuts. Go to JT Miller. He should have been in the All-Star game too. He's over a point per game. 808 is his average ratings. He's dominating this season. Did I extend anyone else? I can't remember if anybody else needed to be extended. I'll probably end up extending Justin Bailey. So Justin Bailey's been playing in the top 6. He's not putting up top 6 points, but his average rating is 747, and the coach loves him. The coach has been, whenever I go into the lineup changes and do like ask the coach, and it just auto populates the lineup. Justin Bailey's always on the second line, right wing side, and I know it's because he's one of the only pure right wingers on the team, so that might be the reason. But he's putting up points, like not like 40-50 points, but he's almost at 30 points in 53 games. His average rating is good, so he's way above water. He's not drowning playing in the NHL in the top 6 minutes. Lots of shots. His shooting percentage is low, so that could improve, because obviously that's not an average shooting percentage. So his points might end up going up if we get into the playoffs or the end of the season here. But he's only 25, so if playing this whole season in the top 6 could potentially like make him into a top 6 forward. He is a power forward, so he's strong. His strength is 17. So we'll see. We've got Brandon Sutter. We're not going to re-sign. We're going to let him go. Brock Besser's having himself a season. 82 points in 63 games. One of the best forward on the team this season. Do we need to extend anyone? Miles Wood. No, we got him in for another year. Hoglander. We got him for 2 more. Pearson? No, he was re-signed already. Montour? No, maybe I already re-signed him. Let's go to, I think Montour was the one I re-signed. Yeah, extension. Basically paying him the same. 3.85 is what he was asking for. Or sorry, no, he was asking for just about 4 per season, and I brought these first 2 years down and then increased the last year and then added a signing bonus. So his cap hit is going to be a little over what his per year is, but he's having a great season too. 51 points in 63 games, just 7.86, just under 8 in his average rating. His shooting percentage is low, so he could definitely get better. Yeah, he's been a very useful player for us. Tyler Mott, nope. Demko's obviously got his extension already built in. Yeah, so I think we have everyone extended that we want. We might not need to re-sign or to extend Wedgwood, because we'll have DiPietro coming in. And that kind of brings up the question with Georgiev, because we're obviously keeping Demko, but are we going to keep Georgiev if we have DiPietro coming in? If we go to... we also have possibly Furland coming back. because it says here he's out for 5 months with a bad concussion. When you start the season, it says 9 or 11 months or something like that. So I wonder what happens at the end of the season and in 5 more months if he just becomes a playable player again. Because he's just on IR right now. I wonder if his attributes go down too. Or if he just retires or something. Who knows? We'll see. We'll have to see what happens with that. Oh, whoops. And then we go to all contracted. We'll have to sign some. So Alex Adler, I haven't extended yet. We'll probably wait until the off season to do that one, because I do have a bunch of players that I have offers to that they either accepted and they'll go through when we get to the end of the season. But they're in the KHL, so they're essentially plug and play players. So I might end up having too many players coming. And I can still cancel those offers even though the players accepted them, because they don't go through until July 1st. So if we go to, where am I going to try and go here? Scouting, I think. Go to shortlist. So we've got, so Podkolzin's accepted his offer that we offered him. So once his season ends, it doesn't say it here because he's not. Yeah, see, withdraw bid. So we still technically have the ability to withdraw our bids to these players who are still currently contracted to the KHL. So like for this Konstantin Okulov guy, 26 years old, almost like just top 6 points, 7.27 average rating. Basically a 3-star player, third line goal scoring winger. He's already above what our scout said that he is good for. Said he's good for 35 points in 62 games. He's got 30 goals and 47 points in 62 games. So he's way above what was said he could do. So he could possibly be a top 6 forward for us. Says that he's not going to improve a ton. He's already a 3-star player and he's going to continue to be a 3-star player. And we go to see. So all the scouts have basically scouted him now, and they're all saying the same thing, pretty much. So he's a guy that we offered a contract to withdraw bid, and I believe he's accepted it too. So that's possible top 6, most likely a top 9 player coming. This guy, he's one of our prospects. Islam Kasanov. This guy, 21 years old. Whoops. No, we haven't signed him. I just added him to the list because he's a possible prospect that we can sign. If we go, I believe there's at least one more. At least I thought there was. Oh, we're at page 3 of 3, that's why. So if we go to page 1 and we go, let's see. And a lot of these players are players that I asked for the scouts to specifically scout too. So that's why they're here. I was kind of looking at trading for them. Or I just needed them scouted to see if they're worth it to trade for. Slepyshev was a player I was looking at, but he's not available until 2022, I believe. yeah, you can't even offer him a contract, it looks like. So at least not until the next year starts, and you can offer him a contract the year that his contract ends. There's Okulov. Oh, Soshnikov. Here we go. So he's 27. He's not having a great season, but he had a great go in the playoffs. 2 games, 3 points, 9 average rating. We go to his scouting report. It says he's a 2-way third-line talent, 3-star player. So another third-line guy, kind of to give us depth in the bottom 6, and could possibly jump into the top 6. It says he's talented. It says he is a talented player, like 16 wrist shot. So if he's playing with good players, he could probably bump those totals up. And if we go to history, we look at his past seasons. He had a 48-point season the season before. And then he played a little bit in the NHL and the AHL. And then I guess prior to his draft, possibly, he was having a good season in the KHL. And then had a good season in the AHL too. We'll see. We'll see what he ends up doing. But we did offer him a contract, so I will see what we offered. Will it show us that? No, it won't. Okay. But he is a skilled forward. Definitely NHL material. Bergstrom, is that a player that I offered a contract to? No, he just put him on the list. He's 35, but he's a 3-star player, 3rd-line talent, possible guy we'll look at to fill in the depth on the team. Anton Rodin, I saw here. I actually offered him a contract, but he rejected it. He's having a good season in Brinas. I think he actually, yeah, he signed a new contract there, so I can take him off the list. And we go to Perlini. There we go, 24-year-old Perlini, almost a point per game in the, I don't even know what the league this is. Does it say? The NL, Swiss National League. But if you look, he's only 24. 6'3", left. He plays all positions. He's accomplished in all 3 forward positions. We go to history. He's been given NHL shots, and like he had a good 2 first seasons, and then dropped off a little bit after that. And then I guess nobody wanted to give him any more chances, so he went to a different league in Europe. The scouts are saying that he's a possible 4-star player, 2nd-line potential, physical scoring player. So I mean, why not take a run at him? You go to, so I have an offer in for him. Asplund was a player I was looking to get out of Buffalo. I think that might be all the players. And the rest of these are either NHL targets or college players that I've targeted. I can actually probably take all of the NHL players off this list right now. I don't know if I can do it all at once, which would be nice if I could. Florchuk is a prospect that is, I think he's undrafted. So I offered him a contract. He's having a good season. His scouting says that he's a 3-star, gonna be a 3-star player, possible 3rd-line potential scoring winger. So that'll be a good player to get if we can sign him. even if he just plays in the AHL and develops a little bit. Go. Be nice to have, like, if you look at all these NHL players I'm taking off, these are players I was targeting, and they're just, teams are asking for too much. So I ended up looking to the waiver wire because teams were putting players on waivers, and trading for maybe a player like Miles Wood, who's a tier below these players, and improving that way, and then also looking at players from the KHL who can improve us next season. Because I mean, to start the season, the playoffs wasn't really the goal. It was improving the team for the now, but also making sure that it's not just, you're not just giving up assets for just this season. And if you're going to give up assets, give them up for the future, so that you have players that are going to help contribute for the future and not just for one season. Tyler Ennis we can take off. And some of these players were on waivers a few times. Like Tyler Ennis was on at least 2 or 3 times. And I just ended, the guys that I have, they're the guys that got off waivers, because a lot of these teams did it all on the same waiver wire period, where you can only pick one player off waivers. You can't pick multiple players. So one time I went with a defenseman, one time I went with a forward. I think I actually got a few defensemen. Let's see, get him off of there. Fogle, I would have loved to have Fogle because he's a power forward. He's not a huge points guy, as you can see on Carolina. But I mean, they were calling him he's a possible 5-star player, and they're calling him a franchise player. And they're like, we're not gonna give anything up. We're not gonna give up a franchise player for what you're offering, kind of thing. I'm like, I don't know if he's a franchise player. I wouldn't say that, but he's definitely a good player. Morgan Kiki was already traded, so New Jersey's probably not going to want to trade him away anyways. My assistant GM doesn't even like Barclay Goodrow as a player, even though I think he's a solid player. Yanni Goodrow is Yanni Gourde, not Yanni Goodrow. Yanni Gourde. They were basically, Tampa was treating him like their first line center. Wouldn't give him up at all. And I just got to the point, they were doing the same thing with Tyler Johnson as well, even though he's a declining player. Matthew Joseph, I really still want to get, actually. He plays both wings, and I think he'll be a good player going forward. But unfortunately, Tampa Bay doesn't want to get rid of him. I almost ended up getting Alex Killorn, because he was a one dot player on Tampa's side. So 1 out of 5 dots means that's how much they want to keep the player, and he's overpaid. If you look at his points, 5 goals, 3 assists, and in 49 games, like, he's not had a good season. And so I was trying to get him and maybe put him into our top 6 and see if he would take off again, but they wouldn't give him up. I'm like, they're up against the cap, so they need cap space, and taking 4.4 mil off of their cap. And I was just offering like prospects that were like 2 and 3 dots, but like that we don't really want or need. And so offering a couple 2 or 3 dot players for a 1 dot player you'd think that's an overpay, and they wouldn't accept it still. So it's their loss. It's their. I was trying to help them while also helping us, and they didn't want to do it. So their loss by not getting the help that they need. NHL. Kevin LeBanc would have been a good player to have too. Scott Lawton, I actually just threw him on the list, but I didn't actually end up wanting to trade for him. And we go to, so now we only have 2 pages, and we'll still have 2 pages because we'll have this guy on here, but I'm going to take all these other players off. Because they've been scouted enough now, and I'm not going to be trading for them. I couldn't even get Bobby Ryan, and he's 33, makes $1 million for the rest of this year, and Detroit just wasn't willing to give him up. He's only putting up a half a point per game. Like, he's not anything to go home about. But I just was looking to maybe get him on the cheap to throw in the top 6 with to kind of help the top 6, because he's still skilled. He's just older and not going to be putting up a point per game, but you put him with other skilled players, maybe he could do something. But Detroit was like, nope. And take off Sherry as well. Oh, whoops, I clicked on the Capitals. There we go. We go home, or press OK, go to the home thing, and then let's see. So look, Brock Besser's 41 goals. Craziness. So we will sim through. I'll quickly go to the roster. So what I was talking about earlier was ask head coach roster, and the coach will make changes to who's scratched and who's starting and who's not starting. So Georgiev every time pretty much automatically gets scratched for Scott Wedgwood. And then go general. And then Thatcher Demko. So this one, it looks like Wedgwood's going to start this game. Thatcher Demko's going to back up. And then they've got Tyler Mott scratched and Will Lockwood scratched. So in this WNT beside these players means other teams want them. Brandon Sutter, we're past the trade deadline now, so we can't trade, but Brandon Sutter will probably sign with one of these other teams here. One of these other teams. So we'll see. Pittsburgh, interesting. They want to bring him back. So we'll go to tactics. That's the lineup, basically. And I'll press ask coach, and it'll fill in that spot. So they just put Sutter in that empty spot, and Wedgwood there. And oh, it's because our other defenseman, Strawman, is hurt. So we got another guy in there. And then confirm, and then we'll go home, and we'll so the game to the 28th and the 28th. So the game's gonna be tonight, and it usually only it sims each day in increments. So it just simmed through half the day, and now we have a Pittsburgh San Jose game. So I simmed through that game. That's an early game, I guess, and then it'll bring us to the rest of the games, including our game tonight in the night of that game of that day. So all right, here we are. So we're playing Toronto. We will press continue and see what the score is. I think the goal for this stream with this is to sim through and hopefully get to the start of the playoffs and end it there. Oh, lost 4-2. That sucks. I mean, Toronto's a good team, so, I mean, not a huge surprise. And we'll continue to the next day. Our next game is on March 1st, so it looks like a back-to-backs, I believe. So that's probably why Wedgwood was playing. It'll probably be Demko in this upcoming game. Although I would have played Demko against Toronto and Wedgwood against Columbus if I was the coach. Let's get lots of mail. Oh, Oliver Ekman Larson. I always forget about him. He's having a decent season, it looks like. Not a crazy season, but a decent one. And I've also got a scout set up to scout each team that we're playing next. So the scout will go and watch their game before ours and just kind of gauge what we need to do, and then that'll help the coach decide the type of lineup that we need. Sometimes he'll scratch a guy like Tyler Mott, or even like a Niels Hoglander or something, or Barbashov if we need more defensive forwards or something like that. Will Lockwood maybe if it's a team like Toronto. We go to ask coach. Yeah, so he wants to scratch Mott and Lockwood again, which I don't agree with. I would probably scratch Barbashov and put Mott in, and then I would scratch Brandon Sutter and put Lockwood in. I mean, I can do this, but I have it set so that the coach has the final say. So this is basically a recommendation. So we'll see what and it has the goalie 1 and 2 as Wedgwood and Demko again. So I don't. It is the AM though, so that's probably the reason. It hasn't updated yet to the later in the day. There we go. So now we're up. Columbus is having a good season. Interesting. So we'll go back to roster. And we'll ask the coach this time. Yes, he's still got Wedgwood as goalie number 1. I don't know if I agree with that, playing them back to back like that. I'm probably gonna play Demko, you know, but if the coach wants to do it, I'm gonna let him do it. I would probably put Petrie on the first line. Sometimes they'll do that. They'll put Petrie and Horvat and switch them. And I'd probably put Hoglander up there instead of Pearson. And maybe switch Pearson with Reeder. Pearson, whoop. And then Zaka, I would probably put up instead of Mott because Zaka's the more offensive player and Mott's the more defensive player. So you want Zaka to play with the offensive players. Ugh, I keep clicking on the wrong part. There we go. And I'll let the coach decide on the goalie situation, I guess. If that's what they want to do, that's what they want to do. There we go. We beat them 3-2. Nice. Let's take a look at the box score. We got Besser, Miller, Montour, and then Mott. Oh, Mott got a goal. Nice. Good for him. He's not having a great statistical season. Minus 25 and only 13 points in 48 games. He was injured for a bit. And his average rating is pretty low. But his shooting percentage is pretty low too. So he's just having a difficult season, even though he's got like all green almost everywhere. He's only one attribute away from these three to being all green here, and then 2 away for this. So he's only 1, 2, 3. He's only 4 attributes away from being all green, which, like, he's a very versatile player, so he's very valuable. The coaches even say that. They say that he's a valuable player, even though he's having a tough season. He's definitely a fixture on the penalty kill. So definitely want to keep him around, especially for that cheap contract. Still in 7th, only 3 points off Edmonton now, though. We could catch up in a couple games if we win. We're playing Arizona and Colorado, so the Colorado one will probably be difficult. I don't know. How's Arizona doing? I don't know how they're doing. Alright, let's get out of this day. Board confidence. Generally satisfied with my performance. The financial status is healthy. Ignore the fans who are calling for my resignation. I have their total confidence and support. Salaries are in good control. They're in great control. I'll show you in a second. And they believe Brock Besser is an invaluable member of the team. So we'll go to... Oh, excuse me. We go to Trade Center. We go to salary cap chart. I don't know why Detroit is... Or maybe they're really close to the bottom. If we go to us, the Canucks, we have 26 million in caps, almost 27 million cap space. And that part of that is because I'm keeping Sutter up in the NHL so that we don't hit the floor. So, so the floor is, I believe, 60 or 62 or something like that. And so they're under the floor, which means they're probably getting fined 10K every day they're below the floor. I got fined 10K once. And so that's why I was like, we got to keep... We got to keep somebody who makes a lot. I actually ended up keeping Eriksson up for a bit. But then what happened was Travis Green kept playing Eriksson ahead of young guys and playing like shit and still getting to play, which, I mean, that's accurate to what happened the last couple of years until this year. So I just sent him down and called up Sutter, who's actually a little more useful. And because we did have Barbashev, who was struggling at center, so he's playing better on the wing right now. So we had Sutter up and to keep us above the floor and not getting fined 10K a day. So Detroit's probably losing money right now because they're below the floor at the moment. But like, look at this, 64.5. That's still above. No, what's the current? In real life, it's a flat cap. It's at 81.5. So I'd still have like 7 mil in space. I mean, that 7 mil would not be enough to still sign Petrie and Hughes to the current contracts I re-signed them to, which was about 9 or 10 mil combined. And in real life, they're probably going to get double that. So the Canucks are in trouble. But we are not, because we don't have the flat cap. I don't know why they didn't implement the flat cap, but it's good for us. Let's see. So let's get on to the next day. Get through those games. We're in March now, so the last month of the season, the important month. Position in the playoffs, standings, and possibly making or not making the playoffs for some of the bubble teams. All right. Okay, we go to... Oh, our defenseman... That's not good. He got hurt. Fractured jaw. Ouch. Day-to-day, though, so I shouldn't have to put him on IR, but I might have to call up a defenseman. He's only played 5 games for us. These emails are scouting reports on players that the scout thinks I should consider. I usually don't look at players that are 30 years old or older unless they're already NHL players. Sometimes I'll just take a quick peek. So this guy's a 3-star player, so he's basically an NHL. He could play in the NHL on a cheap deal since he's coming out of the German league. He's almost a point per game in the German league. But like his average rating isn't super high. He's not dominating the league, so I don't think he would be able to keep up in the NHL. And like they'd view him as a depth player, so he wouldn't even be in the 3rd or 4th line. He'd just be a healthy scratch all the time. But there are some guys that could jump in, so that's why I always take a look. Sometimes I'll take a look, depending on if I feel like it or not. But this guy, like, look, he doesn't have enough green for me to even look, so I won't. Sometimes I'll just see the age and just ignore it. And you by doing that, you kind of risk missing out on a good player, but that's fine. Got lots of good players coming, so. Got lots of good players coming. We got the draft coming. I got lots of draft picks that I didn't end up trading for guys like Sam Reinhart and stuff. So that'll be exciting. I've never done the draft in this game, so it'll be interesting to see how it works. And then I think, as far as I know, based on the roster download I did, there will be. Whoops, don't want to mess with that. There will be an expansion draft. So that'll be interesting. If we go continue here, I don't think we're playing this day. We're playing till the 4th. So we'll get through this day. And by this time, our defenseman might end up not being injured anymore, so I don't have to do anything. If it still says he's light skating and stuff, then I'll do a report from our physio guys and see if it might be a long-term injury or not. And then if it is, then I can call up a defenseman if I have to. I also have Strawman, who's close to being ready to come back too, so I might not have to do anything at all. Just take Strawman off IR and put him in the lineup, basically. Which could help us since we had that rookie guy playing and then got hurt. So if we had put in our veteran guy, And the only problem about Strawman is that he's got a high cap hit, which isn't a problem because we're so close to the cap floor, and he's a useful player in the lineup. So having him up with that high cap hit isn't a bad thing. It's just if we want to sign a lot of players this summer, I believe his contract goes for another year after this. So his cap doesn't come off the books until after next year. So if we trade him or waive him, we might have to. We'll see. Oh, Reader's out now? That sucks. Let's take a look at our roster. So Gavin Beruthe is still hurt. Let's get a physio report. No long-term concerns. And should be out for a week. Okay. So if we... Let's see, who do we have? Do we have anyone on defense that's available? If we go to unavailable, Strawman is still day-to-day. Let's ask for a report on him. They'll say how many days he's got for a week as well. And we go to Reader. I think they said 10 days, but we'll just get a report. 10 days, okay. We'll put, I think we can put him on IR still. Put him on the 7-day IR. And then we've got Strawman on IR as well. Whoops. Go to available. So Gavin can't play yet. And I only have forwards. So I can put in, so I have 2 guys left to dress, and I have 22 of my 23 max limit. So I can call up a defenseman. If we go to all contracted players, go to defense. Whoop. Go to defense. We can call up Slater, Cuckoo. And so what I'll do here, because these wins in March are super important, I will request coach reports from our coaches to see who the best fit is to call up. Okay, so they're saying if we were to call him up, he would be a good player to call up for Slater, Cuckoo. So we can consider him. Jack Rathbone. Nobody else is really is gonna be ahead of Cuckoo. Maybe Rathbone, but I don't know if I want to call him up. I want him to stay. I want him to stay dominating in the minors. It doesn't even say to call him up anyways. They are saying to give him a more important role, which that's kind of why I made some space in our defensive depth so that he could play a more prominent role. We just have a lot of defensemen. So I'm gonna call up Slater, Cuckoo. And we'll go back to roster players only. And then Slater, Cuckoo can dress, and so can Bailey and Lockwood, and we'll just scratch Sutter. Although it's the AM, so it's gonna change again anyways. So we'll go back to roster. The coach agrees with what I did basically, and Demko's starting this game. We'll go to tactics. We'll ask what kind of lineup he thinks, because like Lockwood's not going to play center. That's most likely just a result of the way they practiced or something. Okay, the coach is saying Lockwood at center, which makes no sense because he's a natural winger and he's unconvincing at center, so he's barely competent on the left side either, so he needs to play on the right side, especially as a rookie. He can practice at center, which is probably what happened, but if we go see his face-offs are in the red, so like he should not be playing center. And a Hoglander should not be on the fourth line either. They've got Barbashov on the second line for some reason. He has been playing better. His average has gone up. I mean, he's decent. He's good at face-offs, though, so that's why he needs to be playing at center. Put him there. And then I think the rest is good. Maybe put Mott in place. Let's switch Mott and Bailey. Let's put Bailey on the second line. That's where he's been playing. And then switch. We can keep Mott on the third line. That's fine. Wood, Barbashov, and Lockwood could be a decent third line, and Mott playing with Zaka and Pearson could be a decent line too. But keeping the top six the way it normally is important to me. Yeah, looks good to me. So let's go through that game. See what happens. Okay. Oh, we won. Look at that. 5-3. Do you get any hat tricks? Horvat, Besser, Adler, Miller. Oh, Besser had 2. Nice. Sweet, sweet, sweet. Oh man, Besser is most likely going to get to 50. We're still in the beginning of March. And he's already got 44 goals. This guy's a beast. Wow. Let's go to league standings for a second. NHL. Oh, Arizona's down there. Go to the Eastern Conference. Oh yeah, we'd be higher up if we were in the East. We'd be up to 5th. But I'm so surprised that Washington is down here, the second worst team in the East, with Detroit. What the heck what happened to them? They've got injuries. Chara is not playing great. What the heck's happening in Washington? Ooh, Tom Wilson. He's already got 131 penalty minutes and -20. He's brutal. Daniel Sprong's not doing anything. Sherry's doing all right. Oshie. Ooh, Oshie's having a bad season. Oh, wow. Mantha's having a good season. it looks like they've had some injuries too. Playing some rookies. Ooh, Eller's not having a great season either. They're not having... A bunch of players not having great seasons. Ovechkin's having a decent season, almost a point per game. Everyone else is just sucking. Justin Schultz, no, not doing much, and is a big minus too. Johan Carlson, he's doing okay. Not his usual almost point per game self though. Orlov, he's a plus. He's actually having a decent season. Dylan, nope. They just have their players are either having good seasons or bad seasons, basically. Yikes. The Islanders too, like, and Carolina. Montreal might be going to the Cup. They're already in the Final Four currently, but they're not doing much in this game. Well, you know what? Jonathan Drouin is hurt, and they're playing better without him in real life. And like Eric Stahl's probably a little overrated in this game, although he's not having a great season. Nick Suzuki's probably underrated, although he is having a good season, but his average rating's not that great. But he's way better than what they have him as in this game. Brendan Gallagher's a lot better, probably. Yeah, he's at like half a point per game. He's way better. He's an elite power forward, even though he's only 5'11". Corey Perry's a little overrated in this game. Philip Deneau, he's like their number one natural center, and he's like, he doesn't play wing at all, and he's barely doing anything. Jeff Petrie, Jeff Petrie was having a point per game the first half of the season. He's way underrated in this game. Shea Weber, I mean, he's super injury prone, so he's even playing the whole season is surprising. Tyler Toffoli, I mean, nobody saw him having as many goals as he does right now in real life, so I mean, this is pretty accurate to what we would expect. But he's basically been their MVP this season. Carey Price playing well. Jake Allen not playing that well. Anyways, that's surprising. Let's sim through again to March 6th. And I guess we're not going to make it to the playoffs here, but we'll sim one more game and see how the team does. And then I'm going to go eat something. Let's see, Strollman is back in practicing light. Got a scouting update from the draft scouting. It's always interesting to see 20 and 21-year-olds, if they're going to be high in the draft or not, because they were obviously skipped the last time, because they're able to be drafted in when you're 17. So you're passed in the draft like 4 or 5 times. Or maybe you're a late bloomer or something like that. Usually late bloomers end up in college. Oh, a goalie. Oh man, he's playing really good too. What league is he in? Lule HF. league they're in. Oh, SHL. There we go. Interesting. SHL is a pretty good league. It's a little, I'd say it's a little, based on what I've read and heard from scouts talking about players, draft eligible players playing in the SHL, is that if they're dominating the SHL, then they're probably NHL ready. So he's dominating the SHL, but he's 28. So he could be a fringe goalie, or he just could be a possible starting goalie. But his contract expires in 2022. He is considered a 4-star goalie. He's only 5'9" though. So that's probably the reason that he hasn't made the jump. Is that teams are probably a little weary of that. So my scout who actually scouted him live is saying that he would be considered a core player for Vancouver, which is essentially either a backup or starting goalie. And then Thomas Rodin is saying that he's a depth player currently, and Thomas Rodin is the head scout who probably just like looks over the report from the other guy and then comes with his own conclusions. He's definitely somebody to look at though. If I add him to the list, maybe offer him a tryout if he's he's signed until 2022, but sometimes there are clauses in a contract that you're allowed to leave. Yeah, so this one has a foreign offer release clause, so I can offer him a contract and he could sign it in free agency and leave his current team to come here, but he can only do that if he gets offered a contract. All right, so let's go to, we're playing on the 6th and we're on the 5th still, so we got to sim up to the 6th to play our last game. Okay, check the mail. Ooh, Adam Larsen was offered an extension by Edmonton and he rejected it. Wow. So that means he might be wanting to go to free agency. I don't know if he'd be a good signing. Depends on how much he's asking. Could probably end up being a similar situation to Tyler Myers, which I don't want. Basically, I carry the same logic as I do in NHL 21. Is if I'm signing a guy, a free agent, who's probably 28, 29 or older, I don't want to sign him to anything more than 3 or 4 years. And that's if I really like the player. If I'm like lukewarm on the player, or maybe he's not a top tier player, then I would only be okay with offering 1 or 2 years. And if he's past 30, then 1 or 2 years max, even if he's a top tier player. I'll offer more money to do less years, because then you're not hamstrung later on if the player drops in quality and you're still paying them 5, 6, 7 mil for 3 more years, kind of thing. So, I mean, I guess that's kind of obvious, but it doesn't seem like it's that obvious because so many GMs in real life will sign players to crazy contracts even when they're in their 30s, and it just doesn't make sense. I can see, like, oh, you're talking to an agent who's a good agent and can convince people of things, but then I guess you're not very good at your job if you can be convinced to do something stupid, right? Okay, so let's sim to the later in the day on game day, and then we'll check out the roster. Hopefully we have some guys come back from injury. I don't think we will, though. It's not enough days yet. And Colorado's having a crazy season, which is perfectly correct to real life. And go back home, take a look at the roster. Okay, so our coach has Georgiev playing, which I'm okay with. I haven't lost full confidence in Georgiev. He had a good start to the season. He's just inconsistent still, so playing him as a backup is perfectly fine to me. I would even start him if we could, but we're playing Colorado, so we probably want to start Demko. Baruthe is still hurt. It looks like Lockwood's going to be the odd man out, which is okay in a game like this against Colorado. And then if we go to unavailable players, we can take a look at Tobias Reeder's still hurt, and Anton Strawman is still day-to-day. If we quickly get reports from the physios, I just want to see how many more days they're saying. Still a week, so it hasn't been enough days for the report to change yet. So we'll just leave the other guys, and we will sim through this game. See what happens. When we get to the playoffs, I'll do the live simming where you can see the little dots kind of moving around on the screen, and I won't do it at super speed, and I won't do it at live speed either. I'll do it in the middle so that it goes a little fast, but we can kind of watch back and forth. Have a little visual going on, make it a little more exciting for the playoffs. Okay, oh, we won. We beat them 6-5. Scored 2 in the third period. We're down 5-4, it looks like. Or, oh, did we win in a shootout? Yeah, we won in a shootout. Okay. So we tied it up in the third. Nothing in OT, and then won in a shootout. Nice work. Let's see the box score. Miller, Bailey. Oh, they got Bailey on the power play. Nice. Oh, and Miller scored a hat trick too. Good for him. Nice. Looks like Bailey got 3 points. Or 2 points. Nice. Wow, we were huge in the face-offs too. 32% to 68%. Oh, they were 50% on the power play, but they only had 2 penalties, 2 power plays. And then we were 2 for 6 on the power play. Jeez. They took a lot of penalties. Alright, let's go back. Georgiev. Did Georgiev win the game? home stats. Yeah, Georgiev started the game. He played the game. They had him in. So I guess the coach made a decision to put him in. He didn't play that great. His rating for the game was only a 6 out of 10. But I like a lot of the times when I check these, and Georgiev's the one that started, he's usually being pulled and Demko has to jump in. So I mean, at least at the very least, he didn't have to get pulled in this game. And he got the win too, so good for that. Good for him. That's a high scoring game though. Okay. So let's save this thing. We're gonna go over here. Just want to say thank you to everyone who's watching. Give a shout out to Go Blue Devils. He's doing a great job being a mod for a lot of people. I have him as a mod. Obviously, I don't need a lot of modding yet, but trustworthy person. So mods a lot of good people. So let's go. I'll probably be streaming again later tonight. I don't know if I'm gonna do Star Wars or maybe a different game. I just downloaded Destiny, so maybe we'll play some Destiny. We'll see. Thanks for coming out, and I'll see you later tonight.